Welcome to this webinar on engagement, the powerhouse, I think, driving revenues for the golf industry. And in fact, I think we're trying to sell memberships, tee times, equipment, shoes, power trolleys, coaching, engagement and more engagement is the key to driving revenue. In fact, my strong belief is that in the golf industry, we spend too little time trying to find excuses for golfers to engage with us beyond putting on events, when in fact, if we're going to drive our services and our products, we need to create more excuses for golfers to spend more time with us. And when they do spend time with us, we need to make sure that time is more focused on delivering the sales result we're looking for. Some of you will have seen previous information we've published and webinars, and they talk about 5 strategies that every golf facility should implement. Now, those 5 strategies, if implemented, are a rising tide lifts all boats approach to revenue. If we can reduce losses, raise the amount of golf the occasional plays, recover lapsed golfers, add more value to our avid and regular golfers to get them down to facility even more times, and of course continue with recruitment, then what we're going to do is create more activity at our golf facilities, and that will generate more revenue. What those strategies of course demand is that we actually look at the golfers and decide, well, is this a golfer that's at risk? Is this a golfer that doesn't play enough? Is this a lapsed golfer that we need to get back? They're all strategies that require us to look out to the golfer, but then we've got to find reasons they're going to come and spend time with us. In fact, this is a mindset change, I think, for us in the golf industry, where I think there's a lot of confusion about what is the asset. Is it the golf facility, or is it possibly the golfer that's really the asset? In fact, is the golf facility a Persian horse that's there to bring the golfer to the golf facility? The reason we're so obsessed, I think, with our golf facilities and how good they are is, of course, service counts. But running a golf facility is hard work. It takes a lot of execution, a lot of detail. In fact, you would probably say that most golf clubs run an excellent operating model. The challenge with everybody being so focused on the operating model is when the top line revenues reduce, we're looking at the spreadsheet. And if we're looking at the spreadsheet, to make the numbers now balance, what we have to do is find ways to reduce other numbers on that spreadsheet in the cost side. So it becomes a operating model driven business. In fact, the danger with our business in operating that way is we continue to cut our costs, and often that means cutting our potential for engagement with the customer. So if we look at the United States, then we would see that 50%, the green 6 million, the blue 8 million, 50% of golfers are occasional. They play 6 times or less. In the United Kingdom, the number of members in the English Golf Union has dropped to below 750,000. So we've got a trend that shows we're struggling to attract golfers, keep golfers, and get them to play enough golf. And probably more alarming is that of the 50%, the 14 million in the United States who are not regular golfers, they're occasional, 25% of those, just over 25%, don't want to play more golf at all. So they play very little golf and don't want to play more golf. So there's a real risk of losing those golfers, hence our 5 strategies which say we have to look at customers and reach out to customers and get them to engage with us. It's not enough to continually invest in our facility, making it better and better and better, and hoping that will drive golfers to us. Nor is it enough to just wait for the resurgence of a Tiger Woods or a replacement for Tiger Woods to popularize the sport and drive people to us. We need to take responsibility for understanding of the customer. When I first started working in the industry, RetailTribe set out to provide solutions that help golf professionals sell better by creating better selling conversations with golfers in the online space. What we quickly discovered was many golf professionals and indeed golf clubs were completely unsure of their proposition. So the golf professional was trying to sell drivers when in fact their proposition is we can add yards. The golf professional was trying to sell lessons when the proposition, the marketing proposition was we can sell improvement, we can fulfill dreams. And what that reflected, we eventually started to understand, is the industry is facing the wrong way. It's facing the golf facility and how we can make that more effective, when in fact we should be facing the customer. Our job is to create increased customer value, more value for the customer, satisfying their needs and not resting on our laurels with, we're going to run a competition this Wednesday and a competition this Saturday. We have to understand our customers, because our job is to take them, appreciate them, and monetize them as an asset, appreciating that it's a very diverse group of people. Now, the new companies of the world, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, they will look at the world and produce their quarterly reports based on the number of customers they have. They start by saying, we've added this many customers this year or this quarter, and their engagement with us has increased to this level. Our revenue per customer is now this, and our profit per customer is now this. Even the traditional companies, especially the traditional retailers, are now reporting in that way, as increasingly we get to understand the most important asset we have is the customer. We need to drive more value to them so they'll spend more money with us. Now, the good news, if we're talking engagement, and this is a nice image of Despicable Me. If you haven't seen it, the Minions are happy-go-lucky fellows who just want to have fun. And in my mind, that's a metaphor really for the golfing public. The Minions look to Gru as their leader. Gru never asked to be a leader. He never thought of himself as a leader. And at times he tries to avoid the responsibility with his minions. But increasingly in the movie, he embraces that role. And for me, that's a PGA professional. The golfing public looks to their PGA professional for leadership. We want to hear from our PGA professional. So PGA professional saying, I don't think I should be communicating every week. It might be bothering people. Well, I'm sorry. That's an attitude that says I'm going to hide behind the counter and maybe they'll disappear. What we need to do is find ways and excuses to get the minions to engage with Gru more and more often. That's what we're trying to do. And to show you how powerful the PGA professional is in attracting engagement, the Billy Casper group was looking to get the golfers who hadn't visited their facilities, a particular facility in Sacramento, in the last 90 days, to get them back. So they were making discount offers and not having much success. So if you divide the golfers who haven't played golf in 90 days into 4 databases, and to each database you offer a different proposition, you'll get some very interesting results. So to Group 1, if we offer the discount, Group 2, let's offer the 9-hole par 3 tournament they can come and play in, so 90 minutes of fun. To Group 3, come and play 9 holes and get a free assessment with our professional. And Group 4, play 9 holes with our PGA professional. Do that, and you're going to find a very interesting response. You're going to find that Group 4 actually gets at least 6 times as many responses as Group 1, telling us that price doesn't lead to engagement. The opportunity to engage with a PGA professional leads to engagement. Now, of course, we can't sit there and play with every golfer that wants to play at our golf club or wants to be a member of our golf club or is a member of our golf club. But what we can do is embrace the feedback here that the PGA professional ought to be a leader and ought to be finding ways to engage with golfers more often. Now, to reinforce just how critical engagement is, I'd very quickly like to run through a marketing life cycle that every industry uses. Whether they're Apple trying to sell iPhones, Audi trying to sell cars, or indeed businesses trying to sell any fast-moving consumer good. So, for instance, Callaway trying to sell a driver. They know they've got to inspire people to want to engage with their product, to touch, feel, embrace it. From there, they know they have the opportunity to convert somebody, and from there, they want to retain that person as a customer. There are different ways to do each of these steps. So, for instance, Apple worked very hard to get Apple iPhones and Apple iPads onto the table of every news anchor. So it became ubiquitous. Everywhere you looked on TV, you saw an iPad. Audi got their cars into the transport of the movies. So every movie where there was a performance feature to the car, you were seeing Audis. It was inspiring people to want to take the next step, which was to come into an Audi showroom, sit in an Audi themselves, hopefully test drive an Audi and experience an Audi. In Apple's case, we get closer to the PJ Professionals world, I think, because when you go into an Apple retail outlet, they're desperately trying to get you in contact with a product and an Apple genius. The Apple genius's purpose is to, in that engagement, unlock the full potential of the product for you so that it makes the conversion easier. Now, if you do well on a tailor-made website these days, especially if you're based in the United States, within 10-15 seconds, up will pop a little chat box. You are chatting with Brad. And what they're trying to do is get a tailor-made expert to engage with you now in a chat to improve the level of engagement. So they're trying to get closer, even in the online world, to that Apple model where a genius is engaging with you. Of course, the purpose of that engagement, and we have to remember that because I think in the golf industry it's something we often forget, is to convert the person into a sale. So, of course, the Apple genius wants you to buy the iPhone, iPad, and every other Apple product. It'll be interesting to see how Apple indeed market their car when it comes out. Audi, of course, want the test drive to result in you purchasing the car. And from there, they're looking to find ways to reach you. And for Audi, there's investment in golf. So the customers that play golf, they get invited to Audi Golf Days. Apple continue with ongoing education. So you've bought that. You can come and have free education in the Apple outlets to learn more about your product and more ways a product can transform your life. So how product more enrich the experience you're having. That's a market life cycle that's embraced by everybody, including those that sell nappies. They'll run through exactly the same process. How can I inspire, especially a mother, to want to engage with our product? From there, we need them to, especially with the packaging on these products, understand how that product is going to change their lives and, more importantly, their baby's life, so they can convert a sale at the checkout. And obviously, brands that sell products like this are looking to find ways to extend their conversation with the customer after the purchase. Just look at how much effort Callaway Golf is putting into content in the online world to continue to engage with customers. Now for us, we have an engagement opportunity that all of those brands would die for. Because what you're able to do as PGA professionals is deliver a dream. And that's what a customer really wants to buy. They want to have more fun, more enjoyment playing golf. And there's a better way to do that than to engage with a PGA professional. So, you know, we've got people that want to listen to us so we can inspire them. We've got people that want to engage with us. The slightest excuse, they'll come and engage with us. And that makes the conversion process much easier. What we need to do is actually look at some basic sales maths in that process. So if I look at the inspire, engage, convert process, then we want to, when we're talking or having a conversation, whether it's in the shop or in an email that's gone out to people, we should be working to inspire as high a percentage of possible to engage with us. So the purpose of an email or a web page or a conversation in the shop is actually to inspire somebody to want to engage with us around a subject. Once they're engaging with us, and we want to get that number as high as possible, we then want to convert as many as possible to a purchase, or whatever that is, whether it's a membership, tea time, coaching program, a new equipment product, or even a pair of shoes. What we're looking to do is convert as many of our engagements into sales. And if we want to find ways to improve our revenue line, then we need to get more golfers into that engaged process and improve the quality of engagement. So, 2016, two objectives I think we should have. Increase the number of golfers who engage with us, increase the quality of engagement when we're having. Those would be the two objectives I would set for 2016 if I was looking to increase the revenue line in my business. Now, when I talk engagement, I'm often talking about planned engagement, but there is unplanned engagement that's taking place all the time in our shops, and frankly, I think it's of poor quality. And it's something we should be working with our staff on on how to increase the quality of that communication and engagement. So if somebody walks into our shop and says, have you got waterproofs? If our response is, yes, what size are you? And we provide them with the waterproofs to try on, then all we're doing is inviting the next question, which is, how much are these? That leads us to give a price. That leads to the next question, what discount can you give me? So this is not only a poor engagement with a lower than good chance of conversion, it's actually going to lead, if we're not careful, to a lower margin. What we should be doing when a person comes in and asks for waterproofs is immediately stopping that conversation and turning it round to the why. We want to know, why is that golfer trying to buy waterproofs? Are these just a quick spare set, or are they a set that is going to be the primary set? And what conditions is a golfer looking to play? Are they going to play in extreme weather conditions, or they just want something that's going to keep the rain off them when it's just a little drizzle? What we're trying to find out is how serious is a golfer. And we can plant observations about the need to have outerwear and layers that allow us to make a full shoulder turn, because there's nothing like misery to put us off playing golf. Misery isn't always the weather, but could be the result of wearing layers that stop us making a full shoulder turn. We're turning the conversation back to the why somebody would want to play with good waterproofs, and therefore invest in good waterproofs. Proof of this pudding is with Nikki Lunn, and words of wisdom that Nikki Lunn passed on to me. Nikki had sold his facility there in Bristol to American Golf, and observed very quickly how they managed to grow sales. What they did is they made every single staff member on Monday learn something about a product for the next week. So the manager would identify a product for one of the staff and say, you've got a week to learn all the reasons why a customer wants to buy this and what benefit they would get from it. And then next Monday, you're going to do a role play sales call with me. I'm going to pretend to be the customer, and you're going to try and convince me to buy this product. Now, what happens in this process is somebody learns more about why a product is important to a customer potentially. That makes it easier to sell to a customer when they're talking to you. In that situation, you can not only convert more customers to a sale, you can actually convert them to a full price sale and not a discounted sale, because discount no longer becomes the primary motivation to buy. So Nikki pointed out one of his staff members, a lady, who he said could never sell shirts over £20, and even shirts she was selling under £20, she always asked him for a discount. 4 weeks later, he said, and she's selling 3 to 5 Boss shirts a week at full price. The reason is she has a much better understanding of why that product is a benefit to a customer, and she's able to have a conversation about the dream of that product. Now, shirts and dreams don't match, but drivers and dreams matches, and irons and dreams matches, and wedge and dreams matches. The customer dreams of a one hop and stop on their wedge play. The customer dreams of being able to have high soaring approach shots that land close. A customer dreams about hitting longer tee shots. And when golf professionals complain that they don't have enough space, I step back. You've got thousands of square feet around you in which you can engage with golfers in a way that they can see how their dream can come to life. You can create engagement in a theatre of golf. Now, advertising and promoting demo days, whilst that's something I would suggest you continue to do, there's much better ways to create engagement appeal, because advertising a demo day is only really going to attract those people who've already decided they're interested in a Callaway product, or it's going to attract customers who just want to come and kick the tires. Now, the first are people who would probably come and see you anyway. The second are people who are not going to buy. We need to find ways where customers will come to us, and then we can move them towards a sale. Now, if we step outside of golf again for a moment, in the business world, they do that in 3 steps. If somebody wants, if I want to talk to the supply chain director of Tesco, and I want to sell him a warehousing system, then to ring him up and say, I've got a warehousing system, would you like to buy one, is not going to gain much of a response. I've not identified in any way how I can transform the life of that supply chain director. So I need to find an excuse for him and I to have a conversation so I can learn about his business and his priorities. So a conversation with the Tesco director saying, can I come and see you? We've managed to increase the sales of 2 other supermarket groups of fresh food by 50%, or I've increased by 15% the sales per square foot in our goods, are subject lines which are going to interest him. He'll want to understand how that happened. In the meeting where I'm describing how we're able to do that, I'm also able to understand more about his business and what his priorities are. Once I understand what's important to him or her, I can then make a proposition which is relevant to them. That creates an engagement with a much higher probability of conversion to a sale than me ringing up and saying, I've got a warehousing system, would you like to buy one? We have the opportunity in golf. We can bring golfers in for a 10-foot challenge that benchmarks their performance. That provides us with the opportunity to open a conversation. We're creating relationship. We're learning about a customer. We can observe the length of their putter shaft. We can observe the length of their posture. We can observe their putting technique. Better still, both of us can observe what their performance is. From there, we don't even have to leap to the sale of a new putter or leap to the sale of a putting program. If we're trying to get through a number of golfers in 4 hours, we can book that golfer after 10 minutes into a putting and putter assessment. Still, we're not forcing them to open their wallet, but in that assessment, we have a much better chance of finding out what is the perfect solution for that golfer. Then we can make the proposition, whether it's a fitted putter or it's a coaching program. At that point, the opportunity for the sale to complete is much, much higher than us walking out on the putting green to people practicing putting and saying, would you like to buy a new putter? What we're trying to do is to create engagements that have a much higher chance of success. What's happening in that assessment, or that 10-foot putting challenge, of course, is the blue line here in the middle represents the golfer. You know, they've come to play golf. They may be happy or slightly unhappy with their game, but we need to motivate them to buy something. We need to get them to aspire to an improvement, the green line. Or if we're doing a chipping session and we see some flaws with their technique, we can ask them, do you ever shank the ball? And if they do, we're alerting them to the potential of a future problem, and that's the red line. The difference between the green line and the blue line, or the red line and the blue line, is called a sales gap. Once we've got that gap, we have the opportunity to sell a solution to that gap. And you as a PGA professional have the opportunity to educate the golfer on the likelihood of success by showing them some quick improvements. So, when Bill Abrams runs a Chip for Charity event, for him that's an engagement that creates a sales opportunity, and he's got planning around that. He's already specified what his objectives are. He knows he wants to book golfers into short game assessments, he wants to sell coaching programs of wedges, and by the way, he's doing this at a time when Chrome Soft Ball is coming into the market, and he wants to introduce the Chrome Soft Ball. His preparation, so he's ready for the event, is he knows what price he's going to charge for his assessment that he's going to try and move them into. He's printed some coaching programs, vouchers for coaching programs, or coupons as he would call them, for coaching programs that he can hand out to golfers. He also has his coupons or vouchers for the Chrome Soft Golf Ball, and he's equipped with a launch motor and new Callaway wedges. Knows what he's going to do in the event. As it happens, because he's got a charity angle, he's going to charge $10. He's going to have the golfer hit 5x40-yard pitch shots with a scoring method. Anybody who scores 10 points, he's going to give a little reward to, 20% coupon off a dozen Chrome Soft Golf Balls. And the best score of the day is going to win a short game wizard program. So it's a fun event. Come and engage with me. It's for charity. Come and engage with me. And there's some prizes. Come and engage with me. And the intention is for him to try and create as many 10-minute engagements as he can through a 5-hour period. The angle he's going to use in each engagement for each golfer, he's going to point out the launch monitor, their spin rate, because he knows most golfers are playing with warm grooves, a ball that isn't right, and their technique is usually not good enough. He's going to point out for many golfers that their wedge is creating a trajectory that's a little high, and therefore reduces the opportunity for distance control. He's going to note their loft, their bounce, their solder configuration, and where relevant, he's going to discuss that with them if he can see a problem, see how he's creating the sales gap. And he's going to highlight where their score is probably less than it ought to be if they're looking for improvement. So all the way through here, he's creating little sales gaps to which he can have a conversation to sell into. And he will then, depending on what he sees in his conversation, take it off straight to a relevant coaching program. Say, I think you should go on my short game master coaching program. The cost is, here's a ticket. The result of this will be. Or if he's less sure that he's got them hooked to that point, and in most cases he'll move them for either a scoring club assessment and fitting or a short game assessment. And those who he's not too sure about or he can't move them there, he'll congratulate them on their performance and provide a 10% discount on the first box of the Chrome Soft. So that's what he's planned to do through the event. Oh, and by the way, he's collecting email so that he can get back to them on what their performance was, reminding them of where they were, and discuss their golf orientation. So are they just occasional? Are they just starting the game? Are they regular? Are they committed? He'll note that so that he's learning more about each customer. Now, this works. So Keith Stewart at Springdale, who also mimicked what Bill did, in June, one Saturday, he sold the number of wedges he sold was a fifth of all the wedges he sold in 2014. So what he had done is created engagements and promoted an event, created engagements, and created a quality of contact with the golfer that sold equipment. This is smart thinking. Yes, coaching is a very powerful engagement opportunity. In 4 hours, we can coach 6 golfers, and that helps us build a really quite significant relationship. And coaches ought to be able to, in every coaching engagement, ask questions about, have you booked in for your next round of golf? Are you coming to play in the next club event? And even remark on equipment that isn't right for them, even footwear that's not right for them, or even question what ball they're playing. There's so much we can do in a coaching program, but in 4 hours, 6 golfers. Whereas running these skills challenges or performance events, like 10 yards in 10 minutes, which actually ends up being 15 minutes, then that's 16 golfers in the 4 hours we get to have a conversation with, but we still get to ask all those other questions, as well as put ourselves in a position to either upsell golf ball, or sell new driver, or sell a coaching program for longer tee shots. There is, in fact, so much opportunity for golf professionals out there on the golf course to create so many reasons to engage with golfers, whether it's a flop shot challenge or a 40-yard pitch shot challenge, whether it's a 10-foot challenge or short game handicap assessment. There are so many ways we can create events to bring golfers into an engagement. And by the way, in play events, we also have the opportunity. We spend a lot of time, especially in places like the United States, on getting people to the first tee. But I wonder how much extra revenue we could generate if we were actually better at welcoming them off the 18th green. Because then we could have a discussion about how good their golf game would be. Then we could have a little conversation about little fixes if they've been having problems and move them towards a coaching program. Or make sure they're booking in for the next round of golf. Or if they said they're struggling with a driver, move them to a conversation around a new driver. There are so many opportunities for us to force those sorts of conversations and engagements with golfers. And engagement doesn't rule all. Whatever method, you should be trying to find reasons to have conversations and engagement with your golfers as much as possible in 2016. And you should be recording it. So if you're Ian Lee, what you should be doing for each of these engagement activities is how many golfers did you engage this month? And you should be celebrating with your staff when you're reaching targets. And better still, you should be producing a monthly report for your management that says, I engaged with this many golfers this month in these ways, and add, little footnote, if you manage to increase, create a new member, or increase the amount of golf that was played, make a little footnote so that you can let the management know that engagement is driving a result. During this presentation, you'll have heard me several times talk about, even when you're coaching, you should be asking, is that golfer booked into their next round of golf, and encourage them into the next club event. Engagement is a means to every end in the golf industry. The more engagement you can create, where you're having a conversation that has an objective in mind, the golf industry is going to benefit in many different ways. And that is why the golf professional is so important to the golf industry. That is why the golf professional is the engine of the golf industry. So, as I get to the summary here, you want to try and create more engagements and create higher quality of engagement in 2016. You should be trying to control all conversations, because remember, your margin is in your expertise. So whether it's footwear or swing technique, your margin is in your expertise. Whether it's shirts, as Nikki Lum's staff member proved, if you have the expertise that talks about the benefits, the result, and the why, then you are going to convert more of your engagements into sale. Always target an objective in the golfer to create engagement with. So if you're looking to create a 10-yard challenge, be specific in your promotion about what sort of golfers you're trying to get into it. And in that engagement, make sure you're always looking to include more golf. So as well as trying to add yards to somebody's tee shot, make sure you're getting them to play more golf. And I know you're very busy, so think about productivity. How can you engage with as many golfers as possible in a short space of time? And in fact, you should be keeping a record of every golfer you're engaging with in a material way, because you want to make sure you're engaging around golf with every golfer in your membership or on your database as many times as possible in a year. I'd like to thank you for listening to this webinar, and I hope it's proved of some value to you. We believe that this industry doesn't have shrink. We believe that this industry has huge growth potential, especially as we transition from the place where it was dominated by an elder male to where families want to do things together. There is a huge opportunity for growth in our industry. But we're only going to have growth if we reach out and engage with golfers. And if we engage with golfers, then we don't need to discount. If we can show them the value, if we can show them the dream, then we can drive more value. Thank you very much.